This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, this is the Ramble. I'm Alex and we'll be here until midnight tonight. Let's have a little bit of a telethon here, or podcast-thon or something. I'm Alex Bennett, and on the other side of me here is Debbie Durst. Hello. Debbie.
Good morning, Alex. How are you?
Debbie is the spouse of Will Durst, and sometimes I would have to say the funnier of the two.
Oh, he says it all the time.
But he's terrific.
We all know.
He's terrific, and he's been a political comedian for how many years now?
Good golly, Miss Molly. We've been together almost 41 years, and he started before that. So, a while.
I'd like to say he's been practicing comedy that long, but he no longer has to practice. He is a master of the art.
That is correct, sir.
And one of the finest political comedians in America. Well, at least up until about a year and how many months ago now?
Good grief. 18 months?
18
months ago. October of 2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time. I'm surprised that much time has passed.
Well, it doesn't seem like that much time to me. It's passed so swiftly.
Now, tell everybody who doesn't already know what happened to him that long ago.
Yeah, October 7th, 2019, Will Durst had a stroke. He was backstage waiting to go on at a benefit performance for the San Francisco Mime Troupe. He didn't feel well for a couple of days beforehand, but he just thought maybe it was the flu. He didn't feel like anything terrible was happening. And he had been to the doctor before, and his blood pressure was okay. And so he's waiting to go on, and he decided to repark his car. He'd parked too far away. He did not know where the theater building was. This took place in the Presidio here in San Francisco.
Yeah, which is a huge area.
It's a huge, huge thing. It used to be a government complex.
Right.
So he went out, reparked his car, and as he's getting out of his car to go back to the theater, his feet didn't want to work. His brain was going, okay, we've got to move forward, but the feet were going, no, we're not moving the way you want us to. So he was having difficulty moving, getting back to the theater. He got back to the theater, and then he felt, okay, maybe it was just a little whatever. But then people started to notice he was starting to slur his speech. He couldn't really stand up or balance, and then all of a sudden he was on the floor. A woman in the, I guess she was part of the crew for the mime troupe. She said, there's a doctor in the house. My mother's a doctor and she's in the audience. Let me go get her.
Yeah.
So her mother came backstage and said, I think he's having a stroke. And I'm just so happy that Will was here in San Francisco, backstage at a theater where people knew him and they knew to call me. There were people there that knew me, and they called me. I was at home waiting for him to come home after the gig. And they said, we believe Will has had a stroke. We're taking him to the hospital. So that started the whole thing of and it turned out to be high blood pressure. A blood vessel in his brain just kind of burst. He had to go to UCSF, and they drilled a hole in his head so they could put in this thing to, get all the blood and the fluid and everything out. And he spent quite some time in ICU at UCSF.
Yeah.
A lot of time. Two stints, actually. He was there for 3 weeks the first time. He was ready to leave after the first 2 weeks, but then he got some sort of a brain infection. And they thought they had cleared it up, and he was released to go to an acute rehab unit. And then the infection apparently had not gone away. And I went to go visit one day, and he just wasn't there. He wasn't tracking. So I said, you get doctors over here. We need to do a CAT scan. And they went, you know what? The infection is back. So back to UCSF he went, another hole in the head with another drain, and another 6 weeks in the ICU
I bet
unit.
that's going to be an expression you don't use in your home anymore. What do you got? A hole in your head?
Yeah. No, really, it's, it's closed up quite nicely.
Yeah.
But yeah. And there are so many things that I know now, medical terms, things hanging around the ICU every day for 6 weeks because I went to go visit every day. And it was a nightmare, basically a nightmare.
Wow.
So he was bedridden for 6 weeks, not having any sort of physical therapy. It was a right side brain hemorrhage. If you're going to have a stroke, have it on the right side of your brain because it only affects the left side of your body and not your speech or swallowing or anything that happens on the left side. So his left arm and his left leg not working. And it's been forever to try to get, as he calls it, the leg and the arm to rejoin the band.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's had extensive physical and occupational therapy. And it's just gone on and on and on and on. And here we are 18 months later, and he still can't stand up.
He still can't stand up. Now, these things are very weird from what I understand. In other words, one day he might suddenly be able to use that leg.
Exactly. Exactly.
Or he may never regain the use of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way it is.
His hand was affected also on the left side.
Yes.
And he's getting that back.
Yes, he's getting his hand is back pretty well. He can squeeze my hand and do things. He can turn his wrist, and we're trying to get the because he was in bed for so long. You get what they call a shoulder drop because you're not moving your arm at all.
Yeah.
So the shoulder muscles just kind of fall apart.
Yeah.
So it's all about getting the shoulder back because the shoulder really.
So what we're talking about is he's now in a period of intensive therapy, physical therapy.
That is correct.
Which, by the way, I've had some physical therapy for very minor things by comparison, and it's a pain in the ass. It really is.
It is.
But you go through it, and so that's where he is at the moment.
That is correct.
And the prognosis, there is no prognosis, right?
Oh, there is no prognosis. His therapists are encouraged. They say, every brain is different, and you can't tell how anybody is going to react. We go to therapy some days, and it's really, really good, and it feels like, you're on a plateau, and then all of a sudden you go up, and then you're on a plateau again, and then it just, there are some days where absolutely nothing happens, and you just go, okay, at least we got out.
Yeah.
And then, so it's just continuing with the therapy and preparing for his coming home.
How much of a toll has this taken on you?
Good grief. Well, my life is totally different. If you're going to have a stroke doing it during a pandemic.
Oh, this was a good time for him to do it because he wouldn't be working anyway.
Right. He wouldn't be working.
Yeah.
And I'm not working. There's no comedy. There's no theater. And last year there was no baseball. So there was nothing for me to do. And so I was happy in that respect that I could devote 100% of my time to Will's rehab and making sure everything was okay. Like, it's just a myriad of things, hospitals, the paperwork, there's a binder that's this thick with all of the papers I've gotten from, the various insurance companies and all of that.
Okay. Let's talk about that. I mean, this has not got to be cheap.
No. And thank God we're old people and he's got Medicare.
Yep.
Because those, just the 6 weeks in ICU alone, not counting the 3 weeks beforehand, was over $2 million. And
now, let's once again say that number.
$2 million.
$2 million just for the rehab that's going on now.
Well, no, it's just for the hospital when he was in ICU.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
the rehab
That's
is
just for the room.
the rehab is even more ongoing.
The rehab is even more. Yes.
Yeah, and is that taken care of by Medicare?
Medicare takes care of 80%
Well,
of
of
it.
course, Medicare always takes care of 80%, and I've never been able to figure that one out because they should take care of 100%. Why
It
is it?
should.
You know why it's 80%? It's probably the only way they could get it through. When they
Right.
brought up, they couldn't do 100% because everybody was going, no, we want to compromise 80%,
Yeah.
which then left 20% open for insurance companies to make a killing.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That would be your supplemental insurance.
Your supplemental insurance, which up until I believe the end of last year, it was the end of last year, you and I and people like ourselves were under SAG-AFTRA. And they had a great plan, cost us about $2,500 a year. It included you, it included Will.
Yeah.
And it was just a gorgeous plan, and all of a sudden our union decided to abandon us.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you had to scurry around looking for other insurance.
That is correct.
So where the
and
bill
it was a nightmare.
Where the bill went from about $2,100 a year, probably has gone up. I would say for you, because it's gone up for me to about $6,000 a year.
It's
two of you.
yes, it's at least doubled.
Yeah.
And it was very confusing. There was never anybody to offer any sort of help.
Right.
And of course, you're on the phone forever on hold because it is a pandemic. Nobody's in the office. Everybody's working from home.
Right.
So when you do get somebody on the phone to talk to you about a possible plan, there's, there could be kids in the background, a dog, some kind of, and then you realize, okay, all right, I'm dealing with another human being on the phone at least,
Yeah.
but it took me 2 days of calling to get through to somebody.
To find some kind of alternative insurance.
Right.
Yeah. So
and it
so
was
so
an
you were
absolute
hit
nightmare.
You were hit with it. I was hit with it. All the people in our union who were seniors, especially, were hit with it.
Especially, yes.
And you got a guy lying in the hospital who needs to be taken care of, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
and you can't. Let's face it, folks. It sounds like, oh, hey, Medicare takes care of 80%. Okay, so they don't take care of 20%. What's 20% of $2 million?
Yeah. It's a lot.
It's
I
about,
don't
in
care
my
who you are.
estimation, it's $400,000. And I don't care how well Will has done in his comedy career. He ain't got $400,000.
No. And there are a lot of things to consider. Once he does come home, right now he is in assisted living because it is less expensive to pay rent on a room where he can have 24-hour care than to have him come home and to pay for somebody to come into the house, because the hourly rates they charge are insane, and you're looking at a 6-hour minimum with a lot of agencies.
Yeah.
And they have lots of minimums. And at this time with the pandemic, do you want a stranger coming into your house? It's so many things. Plus there's supplies. He needs stuff for his bed. He's wearing the disposable briefs, as we call it. And there's what they call chucks for the bed that go on top of the mattress.
Yeah.
There's the antiseptic wipes. There's all kinds of stuff that if I buy and take it to them, cheaper than if they order it for me, but I still have to buy all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's all of his meds that he's taking currently, which even with the Medicare Part B, there's a lot of it still. He's got because he was a smoker for 40 years, he's got to do some sort of a treatment every day for his lungs because he's a borderline COPD. And I always tell him it's one hell of a way to stop smoking, hon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's all of that stuff that you got to pay for, and then getting a stair lift, for the house, so that he can actually get up.
Because
you
have a 2-story house.
That is correct. Well, it's a 1-story house, but you got to get up the stairs to get inside.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, the stairs are inside the front door, but you got to get up.
Oh, okay. I know.
And then once you're up, you're in.
I know that kind of place in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Was that the place that had like the lever that you open the door with when you were upstairs?
No, the stairs are not that steep. Thank
Oh, okay,
goodness.
all right.
Otherwise, I would have needed the chair
Because
years
there were
ago.
these homes that had these stairs and they had a lever that you would pull
Yes.
to open the door downstairs rather than have to run up and down those stairs every time you had to open the door for somebody.
Yeah, I had roommates at one time, and we had a flat that
Yeah.
had one of those things. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm not going down the stairs. It just pull the lever.
So where is Will at the present time? And
He
we
is-
do interviews with him, and he's lying in bed, so it's hard to tell how he's doing. His brain is there, his speech
brain
is
is totally
there, all the most of the equipment he needs to do comedy is there. Okay,
That is correct. Yes, he's got.
except it's called stand-up comedy, and he can't stand up. You know.
Well, he could do sit down comedy. We've seen lots of comedians in their older years come out and sit in a chair
Yeah.
or, just be wheeled out, and that would be fine.
Yeah.
He's totally there. He'll bring up news. I'll say, "Did you see the?" And he's already seen it. So he's totally up with what is going on in the world. He's working on humor. He's got 2 or 3 ideas for new one-man shows in his head. One of which, of course, has to do with the stroke.
Right.
And it was just it was not fun to watch him not be able to get out there during this last presidential election.
Yeah, but he would have had nowhere to play anyway because
yeah.
of COVID. So,
Right.
As I told him last time, the same thing you said. You picked a perfect time to.
Yeah, there's no place to go and nobody to go out and see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost as though he planned the stroke. We laugh, folks, but I mean,
we laugh because if we didn't, we'd be
a
crying.
lot of us love Will dearly. Most of us love Will dearly. I mean, I don't know anybody who has anything bad to say about Will.
No,
and
people love him.
and when this happened, I mean, it hit us all because we know what it's like to have our abilities and not have our abilities is something that we have a great fear of. And the worst thing that a comedian could lose, for instance, would be his ability to speak and to think coherently. That's not a problem. But the other part is getting on stage, and also he considers himself a writer above and beyond anything else. And he can't use a typewriter yet. No. So, or a keyboard. I say typewriter. I'm an old-fashioned guy.
Hey, and I'm an old-fashioned person. I knew exactly what you meant.
Yeah. So now we have these expenses. And so you started a GoFundMe, which
Yes,
I
I did.
saw has raised $145,000 so far.
It's about 150,000 so far, but you consider half of that is gone.
Yeah.
Because the rent on his room and the cost of the stair lift itself was quite expensive.
Yeah, but let me
And,
ask you this question: he's lost. You spent a lot of money at this facility. Is that facility covered by Medicare?
No,
Why?
no, it is not considered a what they call a SNF, a skilled nursing facility. It comes under board and care, which is like assisted living, and you're on your own for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. So there is a chance that you're getting him out of that facility into another facility that is going to be more intensive therapy, like 3 hours a day.
Yeah,
What-
I'm hoping.
Is it still a skiff technically?
No, technically, then he would be a patient in the hospital
Okay.
because the acute rehab unit is in the hospital itself.
Mm-hmm.
So he would be admitted as a patient, and it would be
okay.
an inpatient thing.
So then you got Medicare taken over there, and you get your supplemental working for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is if he can endure 3 hours a day. I don't want to pick up and move him and lose the room where he is now. Mm-hmm. If I don't think he can do 3 hours a day of therapy.
Yeah.
He has problems with his leg, the calf muscle and the hamstring are so tight that he's had several rounds of Botox injections in both muscles to
I bet
help.
they're
They call
good-looking
it,
muscles now.
yeah, yeah. Well, they call it spasticity. They're trying to
Yeah.
loosen the muscles
Yeah.
up because otherwise he can't stand and fully extend his leg. And
Yeah.
if he can't do that, then he can't put weight on it.
Wow.
So the Botox was just last week, and you take a week off of therapy after that because you're too, you look
Okay.
like you live at the boneless chicken ranch.
Let me ask you this much. So how much out of the 150,000 you've raised on GoFundMe do you have left?
A little less than half, probably.
Okay. And how long will that continue to take care of this?
It depends how long Will stays in this assisted living facility, and I have to pay for his room monthly. And then
How
it
much is,
depends.
can I ask you how much that is? I want people to get an idea of how expensive this kind of thing is.
Yeah, it's $6,700 for his room.
Okay. So
And
we're
that-
talking with the money you have left about 13 or 14 months.
Roughly. That's not including the cost for his meds and the cost for the supplies that I have to bring down there.
Yeah. So overall, you're going to need more money than you've got in that GoFundMe.
Probably, yes, because after he finishes acute rehab or Medicare says, you know what, we've paid for enough, you've got to leave, or he is able to stand up and leave on his own, and he comes home, we may need help, outside help to come in and help for a few hours a day.
So what we're saying here, folks, is they need scads more money.
We need scads more money. I wish I was one of those people that says, I'm so bored. I've seen everything on Netflix. I think I'll just jump in the car and take off for a weekend. But it's all about making sure Will is comfortable and that I can take care of him when he does get out
Right.
and he does come home.
So have you
Because-
raised the level on the GoFundMe, because you had it at 145?
I did raise it. I believe I raised it to 155.
Yeah.
And I did an update, and people were very kind and generous, and people have been giving again. And I may raise the limit again.
Where exactly? They go to GoFundMe and they look up Will
You look up
Durst?
Will Durst.
Okay, WILLDURST.
Right. And it'll come up, it'll say, Will Durst needs your help.
Well, the reason I'm putting this thing especially up on YouTube is there are a lot of fans of his that may not even know what happened to him, you know?
Yeah.
And I want them to be aware of what happened to him, because it's something that could happen to any of us, you know? And we need to get him back in some kind of shape, so at least he's out there doing comedy and doing what he loves best. Okay, and taking care of this poor little woman here.
It's not about me, because that's what I signed up for, for better, for
Well, listen,
worse,
I gotta
to
tell
get
you,
help and all
Debbie-
of that crap.
Debbie,
But he's,
yeah, you've been an
know.
angel. You've been an absolute angel. I mean, he says it. You know, he just says he just can't begin to express how he feels about what you've done for him. You know, and yes, you're his wife and you're supposed to do this sort of thing, but some people just don't.
I
know?
know, but he's my other half. I can't really function without him around. It's just, he's my best friend in the whole world. And I was just lucky enough we fell in love with each other.
So-
And I just want him to be able to get back out there. I know he misses being on stage. I know he misses doing all of his online missives and his columns and all of that. And just hearing from everybody who's donated or getting phone calls and the love and the joy that he has spread, I just know that he's got to get back out there, because so many people need to hear his voice.
That's right. He had a very important voice, and We love him dearly, and we still talk to him. We put him on the program. I give him. I figure having him on is kind of therapy, so I'm going to send you guys a bill. And since you got all that,
submit it to Medicare first.
Submit it to Medicare first. And what they don't pay, you can take out of the GoFundMe, because I'm sure you're getting absolutely wealthy out of GoFundMe. It's a shame you have to do a GoFundMe. It's a shame we don't live in a country that doesn't take care of 100% of this, no matter where he is, whether it's a nursing home or whether it's a hospital. But we don't live in that kind of country.
No, we don't. Sadly, well, I guess gladly, we have been healthy enough most of our adult lives to not really have to worry about any of that. And only because of his stroke that I have learned so much about how terrible our health system is.
Yeah.
And until you really get stuck in it and you really need the help, it's very frustrating. Why can't you take care of people?
Once again, tell everybody out there where they can find you on GoFundMe.
It's GoFundMe, and you go to the little search thing and you type in Will Durst, WILLDURST, and search results will come up. Will Durst needs your help. That is the page that you go to. Yep. We're very, very thankful, and I'm just verklempt over the love that has been pouring out from everybody. No amount is too small.
No amount is too small.
It's just Will has given so much of himself over the past decades, just making people laugh, and then to know people really appreciate it and are giving to him is making him want to get back out there even more.
Well, we need your help, folks, and just go there. And Debbie, my heart goes out to you. I know what you're going through, and
thanks, buddy.
You're a godsend to Will and to the rest of us, actually.
It's day to day, otherwise I'd be sitting around going, well, what else is on television? It got so bad for a while. I'm even reading the comics, the comic strips in the paper.
And they're not very funny, are they?
Yeah, but thank heavens there's crossword puzzles to be done, because otherwise my brain would just sit here and it's hard. It's hard to sit and relax because I'm always on edge. I've been on edge for 18 months.
Yeah.
What needs to be done today? What do I have to do today? And, it's just and it would be just nice to not have to worry about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Debbie Durst. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Alex. Love you so much.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And that's Debbie Durst. That was recorded. I decided to rerun it. That was running. What was it? Ran about a year ago, maybe. So all those dates that were listed, are kind of like a little bit off. I mean, she said a year and a half ago, blah 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 blah. It wasn't a year and a half ago. It was about now, I'd say 2.5 years, just about, since the stroke. I went over to his GoFundMe, and it is at $274,042. That's how many people really loved him. They keep raising the goal because they keep needing the money, and the current state of affairs, the last time I talked to Will, is, well, so-so. Not great, not terrific, not the way we would like it to be. It could be better. And he still has trouble. He has pain in his leg, and he can't get his leg going. He can't support himself on his leg. Both his arms are working now. So anyway, if you get a chance, go over to GoFundMe, okay? And just type in Will Durst in a search, and it comes up. Will Durst needs your help. And it'd be awfully nice if you helped him. I've tried in any way I can, both monetarily and in just promoting it. And I decided tonight to rerun it. I was going through stuff and saying, what could I run tonight? And I saw this thing that said Debbie Durst Will Telethon or Radiothon or whatever we called it. And I did it, and I played it because I felt it needed to be repeated, and you needed to hear it. And please go help him, okay? I don't know if he's ever going to be himself again, but we want him to be himself on a stage somewhere. In case, if he has to sit or be in a wheelchair, he's capable of being funny even in that kind of situation. So anyway, that's it. That's what I played tonight. Well, let's go to our panel. Let's everything froze up here. There we go. Now it stops freezing up. For some reason, stuff has been freezing up lately here, and I have no idea why. But excuse me if we froze up for a moment there. But let's try to go to all our people on the citizen panel, and they're all coming in. We got Jeff. Hello there, Jeff. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, and there's Alan and Trucker Steve up in Canada. Hello, Steve. How are you?
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess I know why you're probably calling tonight. You want to talk, right?
Yeah. You probably have heard what's going up here right now.
Yeah. Now he's in Canada, and that's where the
Trudeau has invoked the Emergency Services Act, which is basically the War Emergency Act, on his own fucking people.
Yeah.
For a peaceful protest.
Well, how peaceful is it?
If you go on TikTok, the drivers up there's a lot of people up there with cameras, and they're live streaming. And all the stuff that Trudeau is saying about it, racist, misogynist, they're calling us terrorists. These are the same fucking drivers like me, who the 2 years of this pandemic kept the grocery stores filled and the manufacturing facilities running while people were on lockdown.
Okay, let me ask you this question, because I think a lot of people down here, we sit down here, and Canada's that country up there, okay? And Canadians usually we're not used to Canadians having protests like this, You're rather peaceful, well-measured people who occasionally say you're sorry, and things like that.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
In all the video that I watched, there is no evidence of any violence. All I saw, people were having a good time. They were protesting. They were even singing, holding hands and singing "We Are the World." Oh yeah, that's really violent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I assume that's a great majority of the people. Yes, Alan.
I just wanted to say, what about the damage it's doing to the economy up there and our economy? Because we depend on those truckers, obviously, and products that are made in Canada. So, I could certainly be compassionate towards the truckers, but the flip side is it's a medical emergency. If I don't. Are these people like our Republicans? They don't want to get vaccinated? I don't know.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this, Steve.
They're not anti-vaxxers. They're pro-choice.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There's a difference.
I don't see the
they don't want to be forced to take it if they don't want it.
Just like the Republicans here, then. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can use that as an excuse, Steve, but I don't know that, some things come under freedoms, okay? In other words, if they're trying to stifle your freedom of speech, that's...
We don't have any freedom of speech. The Charter of Rights and Freedoms has officially been suspended.
Okay.
Really?
Temporarily.
Well, to begin with...
Well, they say temporarily, but Trudeau, I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. Yeah. Because I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy called Klaus Schwab. Who's who's the founder of the World Economic Forum?
No.
No.
You never heard of this guy?
No.
No.
And you should look him up. what they want to do by 2050, okay, they literally want a one world government. Literally. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but this is actually the start of the process. It's going to take about 30 years.
Well, will you explain to me what necessarily might be wrong with a one world government?
Well, people aren't proud of their heritage?
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about one world government. We're not talking about one world culture.
Right.
Yeah, but how do you know that's going to take? Yeah, but the thing is, though, what I read online about it, there's a website, there's a book. I mean, you can read it up. I can post the stuff to your page, Alex, so you can read it. But it's fucking scary what they're trying to do.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. A lot of this stuff that you are telling me, I would imagine you got off the internet, and a lot of that stuff is hyperbole. A lot of it is stuff to give you misinformation, so you can pass that off as information.
And why didn't Trudeau just drop the mandates?
Well, I think Trudeau has handled this thing terribly. Okay, he's handled it terribly.
He could have had this over in one fucking day.
By doing what?
Just dropping the mandates when the drivers came into town. But he chose to drag it out, and it's come to this point.
But suppose he felt that the mandates were there because he was trying to save lives.
No, our COVID has been dropping significantly.
No. There's no reason. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Since it's been dropping, great. Let's let it keep dropping. Let's not let our foot off the pedal, so to speak. That's the problem. But let's say all Trudeau wants to do is make sure his people are safe.
Yeah, what you don't know is that Trudeau also has financial interest in Pfizer and Moderna.
Are you sure of that?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Well, I haven't heard that, and I follow this stuff pretty well.
Do me a favor.
He bought the country 4 times the amount of shots than we needed.
Well,
no problem with that.
There's no problem with that.
Yeah, the people aren't getting them. What is Canada going to do when the next variant comes along, and it's worse than Omicron? People that are unvaccinated are going to die.
Omicron was no better than a friggin' cold.
Oh, it was a lot worse.
It was a lot worse than that. People died from it, Steve.
People don't die from the cold.
They died from Omicron. People who weren't vaccinated died from Omicron.
Good likely.
Not to the same degree as they did with Delta, but certainly they died if they weren't vaccinated. Right. All right. So to say, that's kind of, you're kind of wrong there. But I'm not arguing with you particularly. I just want to make sure the good information is getting out there. And the problem that I have, and that I think most Americans would like to understand, is what exactly, in other words, okay, there's a protest against something. What do people want as a result of those protests?
The mandates dropped.
Uh-huh.
And they want Trudeau out of power because they have
Well, wait a minute. Now you're asking for two things that don't have necessarily one to do with the other. You want to do away with the mandates, and you also want Trudeau gone. Well, you're not going to get both. Okay? So if you had your choice of one or the other, which would you rather have?
I would like to have the mandates gone.
Mm-hmm.
But once the next election comes around, good luck trying to win it. Not after this.
Have you been vaccinated yourself? You have, right?
Yeah.
So why don't the other truckers get vaccinated? I'm missing.
Well, about 90% of the Canadian.
In my situation with my kidney, I have to. It's part of the rules at the hospital. Okay. If I want to get a transplant, that's what I was told.
Okay.
You have to get vaccinated.
Also,
They want a minimum of 2 shots.
Correct
And
me.
I got 3,
Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Steve.
but I'm not getting another one.
Wait a minute. Why not?
I don't want one.
Why?
That's it.
Why?
Why should I?
Why shouldn't you?
Yeah.
Don't want it. Nope.
To keep you and the people that are around you alive.
I've been around my mom and dad plenty of times, and nobody's gotten sick.
That isn't the case around.
You're not the petri dish for this.
That's right.
You're not the test. My point is here that there's got to be some kind of how much is your side willing to give up? You're asking Trudeau to give up some stuff. What are you willing to give up? How much are you willing to move the needle?
What do you mean move the needle?
Move the needle. In other words, how far are you willing to go to solve this problem? In other words, if you want to believe that the way you solve a problem like this is compromise,
Absolutely.
what is your side willing to compromise? And then
I'm
what
not
do you?
compromising on the freedoms that we were given before.
No, but this isn't. To equate this with freedom. I mean, I understand it when people are saying, "I don't have the right to vote." You want the freedom. Women are treated as secondary citizens. That's wrong. This has nothing to do with freedom. This has to do with how do you handle a public medical problem? How do you solve something that affects the public health? And I think the answer is you do whatever it takes. I don't think you people should be complaining about having to wear masks or to get vaccinated, because all that is being a good citizen.
Right.
And what you're
How about the compromise is the truck drivers that are left alone, the ones that don't want to get vaccinated, and they only get half their wages. Is that a good compromise? That would be an incentive for them to go back to full wages and get vaccinated and do the right thing. You got to have a compromise. I mean, you don't have to, but believe what you want to believe. But look at the world. Look at places that are heavily vaccinated. Look at the United States, where the states that are heavily vaccinated, not everybody was getting as sick as in the South and other places. Vaccines work, and I think Trudeau is trying to do the best he's not.
Well, I think he's handling it badly. I think he's inciting people. He's
okay. Well,
and he's using the media because they're blatantly lying. Because everything the media was saying to the country, to the people in the country, I go on TikTok, and it's completely the opposite.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. TikTok is not a news organization.
They're saying that the drivers.
Hold on a second. TikTok is not a news organization, and I would not get my news from TikTok. No, I would.
You can't trust our news organization.
Well, how can you trust TikTok?
Because it's live streamed.
No,
drivers are there live. You're seeing what's going on.
To begin with, TikTok is live streamed. I don't know any live streams on TikTok.
You can live stream on them.
That'd be good.
Well, you can live stream on a lot of other things. Just because something can be live streamed doesn't mean that what's going across is the truth.
Yeah.
It's all what that camera wants to
show.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, can't they be portraying something that doesn't really, this is what we want you to see, but this is really not what's going on in the big picture?
Well,
because people are gone up there to see it from themselves and have posted on TikTok saying how angry they were with the Canadian media.
Here's the thing with TikTok.
They were saying that drivers were robbing homeless people. No, they were feeding homeless people.
Let me ask.
They were shoveling the snow when it snowed. They were cleaning up the garbage. Okay. They were actually being good citizens, and it was peaceful. There was no evidence of any violence ever.
Yes, Tony.
You know what I love about the internet, and I said this years ago to my brother and his friends. the misinformation, and I don't mean this towards the trucker at all, not towards you, because when you believe what you want to believe, whatever. But how it's just such a hotbed for controversy. It really is amazing. You can make a documentary on it.
Years ago, and I gave this as an example, I was in a riot in Lincoln Park in Chicago during the Chicago Democratic Convention. And what I saw was terrible. But when I went home and watched it on TV, it didn't look as terrible. And the reason it didn't is because TV, well, it was then a square. Now it's a rectangle. You see everything that's in that picture frame, but you don't see anything that's up here. Everything's down there. Everything that's over there. And so it's wherever the eye is and wherever the camera is, which has great prejudice, okay, that you get your information. And that's why I've always told people, don't believe that just because you can see it,
you're right about that.
It's reality. It's the reality of the person shooting it.
Yeah.
Okay, and what he wants you to see.
Absolutely.
So, I
would tell you that if I didn't have to go to dialysis, I'd be going up there to see it for myself.
Well, I'm sure you would, and quite frankly, I think that I've always had nothing but the greatest respect for truckers because I think they're the hardest working people in any country.
And you guys yours is just starting. Your drivers starting from in California, and they're driving to Washington D.C.
That hasn't been picking up much speed, has it, Alan?
That's not
just started.
Anywhere. Just it's not going to go anywhere.
Well, also,
200 trucks.
And let me ask you this, and please don't think that I'm fighting against you here. I'm just trying to.
Don't say that small fringe minority. That's bullshit.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Let me. I'm not trying to pick an argument with you. In fact, a lot of things we probably definitely agree. But my question to you is, why is it that when all of a sudden the government of Canada said, I think they threatened you that if you didn't get off the road between the United States and Canada and whatever and get yourself off, they were going to haul your trucks away. They were going to take away your licenses or whatever, or tax you or fine you or whatever. That when they suddenly said they were going to do that, all of a sudden the demonstrations stopped.
Nope, they're still up there.
Well, I from what we can see, okay, it has diminished quite a bit. Am I right about that?
Nope.
Nope? Are you sure about that?
They're not leaving until
No, they're not leaving downtown. What, Ontario is it? What's it? Ottawa.
Ottawa. But they're clearing the bridges so they get commerce back through here.
Yeah.
Well, the bridges were cleared, but the only people who are acting aggressively are the cops.
Okay, let me ask you this: a lot of these trucks were blocking downtown.
One night wait
a minute. Let me ask you.
There were volunteers bringing in jerry cans of diesel fuel for the trucks, so the drivers, when they were sleeping at night, wouldn't freeze to death and could cook their food.
Well, they wouldn't freeze to death if they went home and went to sleep.
And volunteers were bringing in food too. The cops fucking seized it.
Here's the point. And being a longtime demonstrator and shit disturber of myself, okay, I know what demonstrations are about. And one of the things is you've got to have a good, clear vision of what you want. And you've also got to do one other thing. We learned this a long time ago. You can't do anything that will inconvenience the average person. In other words, the average person isn't guilty of anything. Would you agree with that? You
mean like the locals in Ottawa?
The locals in Ottawa, yeah. And the locals in Ottawa...
They actually have the support from
Wait a minute, no, I've seen people being interviewed who said they've been hurting my business. I may have to shutter my business because I can't make money right now. And
why wouldn't you not...
Wait a minute, let me finish.
With the amount of people that are up there, why wouldn't you not open and take all that money that you were losing during the lockdown?
People don't want to go down there and be choked by diesel fuel, which is another health hazard that has occurred in that part. Okay.
I walked through truck stops. It ain't that bad.
It's not that bad, But it wasn't that bad when you walk through truck stops. If you're walking through a demonstration in which there are endless numbers of trucks with their engines going all day long and so on and so forth, it can get a little chancy there. It can get a little unhealthy, as it were. All I'm saying is that if you're going to demonstrate, that's one thing. If you're going to demonstrate and inconvenience the public, you want them on your side. You don't want to get them hostile towards you or mad at you. And, you can sit there and say, oh, everybody's on our side, but I seriously doubt everybody's on your side up there. There
was another thing in the House of Commons. Mm-hmm. Trudeau was speaking and was responding to another MP from the opposition party, mm-hmm. who wanted an explanation why he's overreaching his bounds, mm-hmm. because he went way fast to go to this emergency measure thing, mm-hmm. which is basically martial law right now. That's what we're into right now.
Yeah.
And this MP, mm-hmm. Trudeau accused her and several of the other MPs of mm-hmm. carrying swastika flags. Well, this MP just happens to be Jewish, mm-hmm. and had family that survived the Holocaust, mm-hmm. and some that didn't. Mm-hmm. And some of the other MPs were of Jewish descent too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
he refused to apologize. He walked out like a little bitch. He's done this like 4 times.
Why? Wait a minute. He refused to apologize for what?
For calling someone a Nazi when they were not.
Well, there were people displaying swastikas.
Those were plants. They were planted. They were people who had their faces covered up. All the drivers weren't not covering their faces because they want the mandates to end. They actually publicly shamed this guy who had that flag, and they kicked him out.
You saw this on TikTok, right?
Yeah. I saw the video of them publicly shaming him.
Yeah.
And there's been no...
Isn't TikTok owned by...
that was done intentionally to try and get the country's support shifted the other way.
TikTok is owned by the Chinese, is it not?
Yeah. A Chinese company, yeah.
What matter does it matter? What does it matter?
A great deal.
A great deal. A great deal.
Facebook fucking censors you all the time.
Thomas, explain it to him, Alan. Why?
So yeah, it's a lot like Facebook, except for you got a lot more freedoms with Facebook to post things than you do to post things on TikTok. The Chinese government, has a different outlook than we do on privacy, and what can go up on that. Their servers and everything are in China. I don't know how reliable the information is on TikTok. I know what it is, and I've seen some videos on it more for entertainment, not for news. But I wouldn't get my news off a Chinese-ran Facebook type organization called TikTok. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just like I don't get my news.
It doesn't bother me.
I look
at it and I find it trustworthy.
No, you find it trustworthy because it's telling you what you want to see,
That's
and
right.
it's showing you what you want to see.
No, it's what I'm witnessing.
Well, you said you didn't go out.
And then I compare what I'm seeing from the media, from the Canadian news media, and it's completely opposite.
You haven't gone up there personally, so how do you compare it? I'm lost in that last statement. Just
from what I can see in the video, and there's all kinds of people streaming.
No, but you're looking at TikTok. Do you realize TikTok is a fucking joke? All right, you cannot rely on. It's not a news organization.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's sad when you have to rely on that.
Yes, but it's not a news organization. Therefore, no one is vetting anything that is on it. Whereas at least news organizations do, and I've worked for news organizations, do vet what goes on over the air.
Yeah, but our news organizations, I've seen videos of them getting kicked away from the protest because all they're going to do is lie about it. They're going to talk to a driver, and then when you go watch it on the news, it's completely different. They edited the voice, or they cut the fucking audio, so you don't hear the whole thing.
Can I say something else?
Sure, go right ahead.
The last,
I can make a point of what he said. A couple of years ago, they were putting some kind of. I went to a community board meeting, and they were putting some kind of like where convicts get out of jail. They were putting it near a school. So my sister wanted to go to the meeting, and it was covered by a local paper, the Queen's Ledger. So when they were there, I was in the back because I couldn't get a seat, and I just went to Walker there. So that some of the people in the crowd I was observing, they were getting really hostile, and they were white people. I'm going to say because it's a white neighborhood, and the guy was trying to explain why they were placing it there, and they were like yelling, screaming. So the Queen's Ledger guy was in the side, and he was covering it, for the write in the paper. So the next week, I get the Queen's Ledger because for me, my mom was 35 cents. I used to read it and stuff, and then I says, "Ma, look at the meeting." And I says, hostile white crowd. Theoretically, they were hostile. So then when I went to a community board meeting, they were like, I was just observing. The guy's like, this old guy says, can you believe what they said? They're making us sound like we're white, hostile old people. So one guy said, basically, you did kind of sound like you were over-talking the guy. People can't see themselves from the outside if somebody reports it the way they don't like it.
Yeah.
But it was kind of accurate to a certain degree to his eye, who's writing the story.
We have another truck driver on the show now.
Kevin, you're a truck driver.
What'd I do?
Nothing. Have you been hearing our conversation here? Have you been here? How do you feel about what's going on up in Canada? Because
isn't it all gone now?
No.
Oh, they got off the bridge, but most of them are still downtown, right?
Right.
well, that was Windsor. This is Ottawa. It's 800 kilometers away.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think they're. I didn't like what they were doing to interrupt commerce because it was screwing up a lot of other drivers. What they're doing downtown, I haven't really paid too much attention to. If they're interrupting other people's business, I think it's no different than any of the other protesters that are interrupting anybody else's business. They should just say their piece and get the hell out. As far as I'm concerned, do what you got to do for a little bit, and then don't be putting other people out of business just because you're pissed off.
I mean, there's a certain something to be said here for the fact that this is a whole argument over whether you should wear a goddamn mask or not, or get a vaccination or not.
Yeah, I understand that. But you said now move on. I'm still trying to figure out what their message is, because they're saying that you got to wear a mask and you got to get a shot, but you've already done that, so move on. Get back in your truck and move on. I heard that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, but that 90% of the truckers are vaccinated.
Yeah,
and
and a lot of them who are already vaccinated are there.
So why are they arguing?
Like the mandates.
Why
Just
are they
because
arguing?
They're vaccinated doesn't mean they like the mandates.
So move on. Don't like the mandates and do your job. Get going. I mean, I don't understand that part. That's what I don't get.
The thing is, though, we got kids up here, who've been fucked over in school, pulled in, pulled out, pulled in, pulled out. And then we had our education minister saying that even if they lift the mask mandates in Ontario, they're going to still force kids to wear them in school.
We're going through the same thing here.
Thank God for that.
We're doing the same thing here. I mean, my kid actually wants to wear a mask at this point.
There's no major outbreaks in school.
Here there is. It might be because they're wearing a mask. I mean, the thing is that the kids are the ones that are getting it now, whereas before they weren't.
Yep.
In the beginning, that Delta, they weren't. Now the other variants, they are getting it. So it's better off, I think, and my kid thinks so too, and she's 17 years old. She'd rather wear a mask. and I'm letting her do whatever she wants.
Well, they've done away. They're doing away with masks here in New York. Am I right about that, Tony? There's
you know what? Yeah, I just heard about they were. I still have my mask on.
I'm still going to wear my mask. Still going to wear mine.
I'm still going to have it in my pocket. Don't wear it. Unless I'm eating or something.
Yeah.
The mandate thing is just exactly what it is. They're going to tell you what to do, but what are you going to do? Do what you want.
Yeah.
And move on. You know, I don't think they're going to put you in jail for not wearing one. So, you know, if I was a truck driver, I'd just say whatever, put it in gear and move on.
I think Trudeau's biggest problem is that he should have said, "Hey, listen, folks, here's the story. Come on, you know, it'd be nice if you wore a mask because it's the right thing to do." Instead, he didn't know how to handle a situation.
He did not.
There.
Trudeau's a dummy for that part. I do agree. He should have gone down there and said, "Okay, what's your problem? All right, I've heard you.
Confront it. You show sympathy.
Fill up your truck. Get the hell out of here. Move on."
And then you just say to everybody, "Hey, all I'm trying to do is keep you alive. That's what I'm trying to do here." My job.
The thing is, though, he called truck drivers who don't get vaccinated racist, misogynist, and terrorists. He called us fucking terrorists.
Well, neener. Don't worry about that shit.
Yeah, really. Who cares about the names?
You know, everybody calls the president names too, and you know, I that part, I don't worry about it.
Yeah, but for not getting vaccinated, what's that got to do anything? Why would he even bother saying that? And this is a guy who wore blackface.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Okay.
25 years ago.
Yeah. Let's talk to somebody who is wearing blackface tonight, Jack Bishop.
Oh, look, there's one.
And has been doing it for 75 years and whose family were truckers, starting with my grandfather, when black men didn't drive trucks across country.
Yeah.
Now, let me put something to Steve right here now. Steve, how old of a fella are you?
Sorry?
How old of a man are you?
46.
Okay, so you have no memory of polio, do you? No memory of it.
Polio?
Yes or no? Just want to make sure we get that straight.
Yeah.
This is nothing new. We have had pandemics and epidemics in this country going back to the founding of the United States, to the founding of Canada when you guys got there. Now look, polio, when I was a boy, and I'm a little younger than Alex, we wore masks because kids wound up in iron lungs and couldn't breathe. We didn't go swimming because parents were worried about passing the disease on. We're just a bunch of pussies today.
And by the way,
You're right about that.
By the way, back then with polio, we also knew less about that disease than we do about COVID-19.
Would you
I remember when my mother said,
we went to school, they poked you and they said, "Come in here, we're going to poke you," and then they went to lunch.
Yep.
Absolutely, and they never asked your parents.
They didn't ask you
either.
I would have told him twice.
And by the
way, a
way,
red dot, don't come in.
by the way, guess what we did worldwide? We wiped out polio completely.
That's
Yes.
where Jack was going, I think.
Yeah.
By vaccinating the world.
Yeah.
Steve.
And
What-
still, it does come back from time to time.
Well, I'll tell you what happened a few years ago. It started coming back because because there hadn't been any cases of it, and parents weren't mortified by the existence of it any longer, and so by letting our guard down a little bit, it came back. And that was the problem. But it hasn't come back ferociously. But at one time, this was an epidemic that literally was hitting the entire planet, and it was going after kids primarily. That was the horrible part about it.
Quite honestly, Steve, I'll tell you the honest truth that I think is that Canada got the U.S. disease. You think that it's become this political thing over it's liberty and freedom over this fucking disease. It should not be. It's become that, and you guys got our disease. That's the disease.
You didn't get COVID. You got the disease that you thought you could say that you didn't want to get.
You can't get a shot for the freedom and liberty shit. That's just a big fucking.
Well, I just don't.
Football.
You see, I don't understand the freedom part of it. You know,
That's exactly right.
What
and
about?
there's no shot for
Well,
that.
wait a minute. What
You
about?
guys? I can explain that to you. Last year, I'm going to the grocery store, right? Got my little mask on, hobbling into the grocery store. There's a guy at the door offering people masks when they enter the store if they weren't wearing one. And the store had a sign out saying, mask up. So the guy is offered a mask, and the store employee who's wearing a mask and offering this guy one, the fella says to him, "Oh, I don't want no mask. I don't want to look like a faggot." So, being the unrepentant black radical that I am, I said under my breath, but just loud enough so it could be heard, "Better a live faggot than a dead fool," and walked in.
Mr. Carter, Mr. Carter.
Mr. Carter.
Yeah,
My 82-year-old mother-in-law works at Home Depot and did exactly that. She was the mask police in front of Home Depot and got confronted by a 6'5" man that she told him to put on the mask, and he gave her royal shit.
It's a good thing you weren't around with a baseball bat.
That's right. Or a shovel or whatever Home Depot has close by the door.
That's right.
yeah,
But she held him off.
yeah. I mean,
But that's what I mean by the U.S. disease. Is what you guys got up there is spread up there, and there ain't no shot for that.
Now, Steve, one of the things that we've heard down here, and I'm down here as far as you can get without being on the border of Mexico.
Is your news media talking about it much?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
All over the news.
yeah.
Do you know
Absolutely.
that he has
Stirring up all the boys down south too.
he will freeze everyone's account in the country, their bank accounts, if they donate to the truckers funding.
Now, where did you hear that?
Really? Can he do that?
That's what the
TikTok
government
again.
themselves said.
I don't
When
know
they-
that they can do
when-
that.
Well,
Steve.
wait a minute. From what I hear, most of
Christopher
40% of the
Freeland,
money that you guys are getting in Canada to back this thing are coming from right-wing groups in this country.
Yeah.
You're taking fascist dollars, brother. Fascist dollars. Into a country that was known.
Well, there are stories. Calm down, Jack.
He's gonna turn white.
Well,
you guys know who
And
Christopher
he hasn't
Freeland
even
is?
had a cup of coffee yet.
I know
I got tea.
Freeland is, yeah.
No,
What
who's
about
that? Who's that,
Yeah.
Steve?
Well, she's our deputy prime minister. And she announced, when they announced the Emergency Measures Act was invoked, that if you donate to the trucker rally, I can even post it on one of your pages so you can watch the video. Or you can go on my Facebook and just look all the stuff that I posted and watch it.
okay, I'll do that.
Well, what? Okay, I'll ask the famous Phil question. Where did you get that? Where did you get that information?
Where is he?
It was during the press conference yesterday. Christopher Freeland, who's been on Bill Maher in the past,
So
Said
she
it
said that
herself.
she was going to do that, and they can do that up there. 'Cause you
right
couldn't
now
do
we
that
are
here.
under martial law. They can do
No,
everything.
no, you didn't say you were under
Right.
martial law earlier. You
Now
called
they're
it
under
some-
martial law now.
Yeah.
They have
Are?
Are they
martial
did
law.
they say
Yes.
did they say this country is under martial law?
Oh, I did not know that. See, I don't know everything.
That's
He
not
used
what
the
our
term.
news is-
That's
yeah,
not what he
is
said.
saying.
That's not what you said originally, Steve. You said it was something else. It wasn't martial law. It was some kind of act that he could invoke.
Emergency Measures Act, which is basically martial law.
Well, no, it isn't. Martial law is when
It
you got the
isn't
troops
martial
in
law.
the troops
Martial law is
in the
martial
street
law.
and they're arresting people and they're silencing any kind of dissent.
Anybody who doesn't agree with Trudeau basically is going to get silenced.
How come you guys haven't stormed your parliament with your guns in hand, kill some sons of bitches, and walk out and say we took over the country, just like Trump tried to do down in the United States?
Don't give him any ideas, Jack.
Yeah, wait a
Because
minute,
the
Jack,
point-
don't give those
The
ideas.
point of the protest,
Watching the news all night.
the point of the protest was to do it peacefully and not get violent.
Well, you certainly didn't tell those Indians that. When
What
the
what
Europeans got
Indians?
Yeah, what Indians?
the Indians that were living in Canada, you certainly didn't tell the Indians that when the Europeans got there.
He's not talking about that.
We're not going back that far, Jack.
That was a long time
Deal
ago.
with casinos.
We're talking about a very present problem here, Jack, and I think that I respect.
I think you cannot step away from the history of people.
I get it. We didn't either.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
if you
that's
want to
fair.
talk about some of the Canadians and Indians, it's what they did to those Indian children up there.
Yeah.
There was that whole thing that came up recently about that school, I think, or something, and that the kids, how many died as a
We're no
result.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Kevin's right. We're no better.
I always thought Canada was better.
You would think.
I didn't think they were capable of that
They have
sort
less
of thing.
guns than we do and less gun violence.
Yeah,
Well, we're mixing up time frames here now, but let's go
Well, I mean,
back
let's
to
keep it more
Jack's
relevant.
time frame.
yeah.
You really want to keep it more relevant when there were young men in this country who said, I'm not angry at anybody in Vietnam. Those guys had a place to go in Canada.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And they
But
were.
Trucker Steve wasn't born then.
I guess he wouldn't have been around at that time, would he? When all the people were leaving the United States for Canada to avoid the draft here.
Oh, that's right.
That was 60s,
68,
yeah? 68,
67, 67.
I was thinking about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And on that note, I'm going to leave this program and get ready for the one that comes on after Alex Bennett's
What
Ramble.
show is that? Are you going to call into it? What is that a
Tell
show?
everybody on the show how to get in.
Oh, yeah, you can Skype us at Gabnet Live. We'll talk about this and other things, including some baseball news.
Shameless
who-
plug.
Yes, for those who
I
get
could-
tired of talking about politics, we got some baseball.
Well, you
stuff
got
to
some
talk.
sports going on your show, huh?
Hey, any port in a storm to try to rival the great Alex Bennett.
Yeah, well, I have a sports Emmy, so.
Yep.
Don't remind me you've got an Emmy. Don't remind me.
But what's worse, it's a sports Emmy.
That's right.
You've still
Because
got an
you're
Emmy.
Well,
Some
actually,
sports
I have a second Emmy. I got another Emmy.
Oh yeah,
the
you
next
got
year.
2 Emmys, you
That-
son of a
for
bitch.
information programming. Yeah,
And-
I got.
But don't get too high-handed with me, because just like me, you haven't put a headstone on your mother's grave either.
Oh, you haven't done it either.
No, and
What kind of a lousy son are you?
I mean, come
And
on.
he's not even
I'm
Jewish.
just on the spot.
all right, I feel bad about it. I'm going to go over here in the corner and cry for just a little while till I get my shit back together. You've made me realize what a lousy guy I am. Oh, yeah.
Oh, by the way, turn up your
Game.
volume just a little bit more, just a tad more. It was good last night, but just a tad more and you'll be fine.
Bring it up a little more.
Just a tad, yeah.
Just a tad. All right,
Yeah.
all right. I'll do that. There we go.
Well, no. You're turning it up. You turn it up on the butt.
I know.
Oh, yeah,
I
but
know.
what?
I know.
Okay. See you later.
See you later.
Okay. He follows our program with his program, which will be in about, I don't know, 11 minutes from right now. Steve, don't let me think that we're getting on your case here. I'm just trying to bring a sense of reality into it, and make sure that everything that goes out on this program is a honest discourse and that it comes from reliable sources. And I don't consider, and will not for the life of me, consider TikTok a reliable source. Okay? However, that being said, Trudeau's handling, I think everybody here will agree, Trudeau has been handling that thing terribly.
Yes.
And,
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a mess of his own making. You can diffuse things like that.
Why doesn't he? Let's try a different scenario, Steve. Offer all the truckers that get a shot a 20% raise.
Oh, come on. Stop giving
Don't-
money away.
Don't
I didn't give $100 to Marmea. The other guy. He's giving it away.
I'm against that. I'll tell you why.
Why?
I don't want my money, Alex.
I'm against
sorry.
that. No, I'm against it only because I was mad when they were giving everybody what,
I still want it. They can do it
$100 or
again.
something.
didn't
They
get
can do
it.
it again,
You-
$100. Give
Well-
it to me. I'll go food shopping.
But I was against it because this is something that we're trying to save your life by telling you to get the
Yeah,
shot.
boy.
What,
Yeah.
I'm going to pay you to go get it?
I gotta bribe him.
You know.
We can't hear him, Tony.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Alex.
Plus, I mean, to tell you the honest to God truth, I was pissed off because they offered the 100 after I got my shot. You know.
Same here.
But
You should be
I
reimbursed.
don't know if we have to give a financial incentive for people to do something about their own good health, you know, and the health. And you know what it is? It isn't so much you as an individual and whether you're trying to save your own life. You're doing a patriotic act by watching out for people around you, and you know, being a good citizen.
Can
And
I ask
it
you
has
something?
nothing to do. It has nothing to do with. That's not freedoms. There. That's, you know.
Steve, can, you know, yeah, you know, you're immune compromised because of your medical condition, and if they show that the COVID vaccines that you have no longer are protective, you have to make a choice. You can not get the vaccine, the fourth one, like you said earlier in the show, and put yourself and maybe others at risk. And, you know, I mean, that's a personal choice maybe, but I think if they wanted to vaccinate us every 4 months, I'd go get the vaccine because I enjoy living. And I don't want to come down with an asymptomatic case or whatever and make other people sick.
You know, there are a lot of other things that can kill me that I can't prevent. Okay, but there are things that can kill me that I can prevent.
Absolutely.
I got cancer, prostate cancer, so I went and I got radiated and I got the seeds put in and solved it that way because I chose to live and I had control over it, and I have control over COVID. Thank God we finally do have control over COVID.
That's right. Masks and vaccines.
And I don't feel there's anything, you know, if the government tells me, hey, be a good citizen, go get a shot, they shouldn't have to. Would you agree with me on this, Steve? They shouldn't have to have a mandate. People should just do it because they're good citizens.
That's the whole point.
Yep.
You know, mandates, no, not a good idea. It's just shame we have to have them. But if you have to have them, then it means that people are not saying, hey, I'm part of a community. I have a responsibility to that community to make sure that I don't spread this disease.
Yep.
Does that make sense, Steve? Would you disagree with me on that?
You know, when a bomb or when two airplanes go into a building in New York, you didn't see people fighting each other from the south and the north saying, oh, bullshit, you know, there was no argument about what happened.
Yeah.
Everybody got together.
Yep.
It didn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat or what. Two planes went into a building, and
Two buildings.
here we are. Everybody's getting sick, and everybody's fighting. Makes no sense.
Well,
Everybody's getting sick, but we got to fight over the fact that somebody's going to try and put a needle in your arm and get you better, but
Yeah, people.
we got to
are
fight
not-
over it.
People are not dying from the vaccine. People
No.
are dying from lack of the vaccine.
Right, and it's the same thing, except that the fact that that needle has to be put in your arm by somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's still going to die, but the needle has to be put in your arm by somebody, and somebody's making it into something that, you know, that's not right. I don't have to do that.
let me ask you this also.
That's the problem.
Let me ask you something, Steve. When they said that you had to be immunized in order to get your dialysis, was that a prerequisite? I mean, if you didn't get a shot,
They gave me a letter that I had a minimum of 2 shots, but I already had the third one.
Yeah, but if you didn't have the shots, would they deny you dialysis?
Well, not dialysis, but they deny me the transplant.
Oh, I see. Okay, the transplant.
Which is basically all the treatment you would need.
That doesn't make sense to me either, that they would deny him a transplant because he didn't have a vaccination. I mean, what? I don't understand.
They gave me a letter, two minimum shot.
Could be.
Why? Because you're probably going into environments that would expose them to that disease, and it would probably just be a lost cause. That's
I think more than that, I think the reason they probably also did it, or say it, is because when you go in to go get your kidney replaced, you're going to be very immunocompromised.
Absolutely,
incredibly so. So they want you to have a vaccination.
Going into dialysis is an exposure to.
Absolutely.
Going into a hospital is a petri dish of. It's the worst place you can go. That's where I got MRSA.
Yeah, but the point is that I think the reason they do it is because they know that by giving you a new kidney, you're going to be in an immunocompromised situation, a very heavy one, and they want you to have the vaccination. Yes, Jeff.
Whoever runs this hospital or doctor or drugstore or whoever, they don't want to have you have a new kidney and not take the drugs that are going to make you survive.
Yeah.
Why the heck do you want to have a kidney surgery if you're not going to pay any attention to the opportunities of you getting
exactly
the next day?
Well, it's
They'll
not
give it to somebody else that'll want to survive.
It's not a question with Steve because he's had his 2 shots and he's had his booster, so he's up to date on it all.
I know. But how about somebody else? Same issue.
Correct. My brother-in-law had his kidneys replaced, and it took him 2 years, and he had to get it from his daughter.
Not both of them.
No, one. Yeah,
one. Yeah, all they did was one.
But it took 2 years. He was on the list for 2 years, and he didn't even get, he wouldn't even get one from the list. Yeah. He got it from his daughter.
But that all of what we've said should not mitigate the fact that I think that the drivers, if they felt they had an argument to petition their government with, have a right to hold a demonstration and to say that. But I think to impact the economy and to do things like that might be a little bit out there. That's all I'm saying, But anyway, that's me.
There's the theme.
But I hope you, I know. I hope you know, Steve, that we're not arguing with you. We're simply discussing this with you. You have a point of view, and we're trying to modify it. But we're sitting up here, here in the United States, and you're up there where it's actually happening. You want to look
at my Facebook page on my wall? Yeah. I have posted a whole ton of stuff.
I'll go take a look at it. I promise you.
Look through it, read it.
Okay. I promise you we will. Hey, there's our theme, by the way. Good discussion tonight. Boy, really good one. Yes, thank you very much, Jeff, for being here. You, Alan, of course, Tony and Kevin, and most of all, thank you, Steve, for coming on tonight because you brought a very good conversation with you, and we really appreciate it. Okay? Everybody give yourself a big wave goodbye, and I'll give you a big wave goodbye back at you, okay? There they go, folks. There goes our citizen panel. Yeah, let me dump them here, so that they don't have to stick around anymore. Okay, that's it. Jack Bishop is next. He's here with The Intersection. You can call him by using Skype and calling Gabnet Live. That is the call sign on Skype. We'll see you again, let's see here, tomorrow night. 10:30, same time, Eastern time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, wear a mask, okay? And if not, go get the vaccination. It's very simple, and then you'll live forever. Bye. I'll talk to you later.